So before we get started, I would love to see what everybody has been working on. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share?
Nope.
So what have you guys been working on in the other ones? That'd be awesome, Jay. Oh, you're doing a walk test already. That's phenomenal. Tater, welcome. Because last week I saw your flour sacks and you guys were working on those jumping, yes?
Peter has a walk test he could share.
Yeah? Let's take a look at your walk cycle.
Yeah, it's pretty basic and more of a skip, but it happened.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yes, it happened, and it's basic. And a walk cycle was one of the more complex animations you'll ever do. It's there's lots of stuff going on. A walk, when the character's walking, is basically falling. It's a controlled fall. So when the character's moving forward, he's catching himself with their foot on each one. And depending on what you're animating, like your character was this fantasy character, and it was nice skip, by the way. Each character will have its own personality. If it was an old man with a cane, it'd be a little more of a shuffle. If it was a young kid skipping or running, the gait would be longer. Good job. Thanks for sharing, Tater. Anybody else have anything to share from the other courses? How did you guys, Tater, did you do a jumping flour sack? Cindy, welcome. I would like to see your finished flour sacks if you guys don't mind, because, you know, the basics, they all tie into each other.
I'll
If
show
you
you
would like
mine.
to share.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I showed everybody this yesterday, but I'll show you too. This is my flour sack.
Hey, we got a dancing flour sack. I dig it. Very nice.
And I'm just in the middle of working on the walk cycle, and I started it out doing it on a couple layers, and I started picking it apart. I realized I wanted to move things, arms and everything, to different layers. So it's still kind of in a middle stage. And there's a couple blank.
Fine.
Yeah, there's a couple blank in between frames here, but it's mostly there. So here is a walk cycle.
Hey, you got the bounce, you got the high up, you got the down, and then you got the crossing.
Yeah,
that's good. That's like, I'm strutting, man. That you can see the attitude in that. I'm going.
Trying
Ain't
to make
nothing stopping me.
The hardest thing is the feet on the in-between, trying to make sure that the feet aren't changing shape all the time.
That's
what
one of the, that's the thing. Even with the flour sack, you know, it can change shape, but you want the volumes to be about the same. It's like a water balloon. It can change its shape, but the amount of volume it has is going to be consistent. Very good. Anybody else have anything? Okay, well, good. Well, last week I talked about squash and stretch, the principles: timing, exaggeration, appeal, ease in, ease out, arcs, secondary action, anticipation, staging, the 12 principles, and there's a lot of them. And everyone has a basic part. So we did do squash and stretch, and my exercise was the ball, but it seems like a lot of you were already moving past that. Like Nailene introduced you to the flour sack, which is one of my favorite characters. I'm going to briefly talk about a flag wave. Scott, if you can play that video real quick of the flag, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. So this is a basic flag wave. Now, something like this you would see on Cartoon Network. You wouldn't really necessarily, well, you could find this on a Disney film, but Disney would be more finessed about it. They would fine tune it. This would be something on The Simpsons. It's a 4 to 5 frame cycle. And it also depends on how fast the wind is blowing. So when you are animating wind, you generally don't see the wind, but you will see the effects of the wind on hair, clothes. That's where your secondary action comes in, because it's going to affect everything from the flags, drapery. You generally won't see the wind. You'll see leaves flying around. You might see action lines for wind. They do that as well. Okay, so I'm going to jump ahead. I was going to hold off till later. I'm going to jump ahead, and then my next clip, since you guys were doing the flour sack, I thought I'd join the fun and do the flour sack with you guys. So here's my example of a jumping flour sack. So this is called Flour Sack Hero. Now this is about 9 seconds long where I looped some of it, but I had fun because if you take a look at it, there's secondary action going on. There's follow through, there's arcs, there's ease in, ease out. There's effects animation going on. So I figured, you know, you guys were kind of bored with my bouncing ball. I'm like, oh, thanks, DJ. Is that all you got is a bouncing ball? I'm like, well, okay, I'll give you a flour sack. So if you guys have questions about it, but in between the part where it jumps up and then takes off, he's off the screen. That flour sack is off the screen in like 3 frames, 2.5. Because in the last frame where he exits, it's just the tail end of it. So the walk cycle is something we could talk about too. Did anyone pick up any books, that the books I recommended? The one book that, the Illusion of Life, and then Richard Williams, this book right here by Richard Williams. He was a perfectionist, and Richard Williams will break it down. The animator survival kit, he will break it down to the point where as your character is walking, he will even tilt his head. He tilts his head. He also tilts his hips. You can't see it in this one, but he pushes it like it's not just a character straight across. When you walk, your head goes side to side. He breaks it down side to side also. He talks about the tilt of the head, how much should you delay? What if you, Richard Williams, if you don't remember, he did Roger Rabbit. Very, very talented gentleman. It was awesome to have a workshop with him. But here's another again. There's another walk cycle where he's playing around. Now, see, the thing with the program Flip a Clip, you guys can have instant feedback like that. Before, back in the day, we'd have to draw it, take a picture of it, draw it, take a picture of it, draw it, take a picture of it, then play it back. They would go in the hot box, look at the reel, and go, well, you know, take a frame out. You know, that needs a frame. Brad Bird, who did Iron Giant and The Incredibles, he would sit in, and he was so good with timing that he could tell something. He could watch his animation and go, like, he even worked on The Simpsons. He was a consultant, creative consultant. But he could look at a timing of an animation and go, you know what, that's too fast. I need one more drawing in between that. Or that's too slow, take one out. So the walk cycle is a pretty complex one. It sounds like you guys have already started it. A couple of books I didn't share with you last time is Cartoon Animation by Preston Blair. Another great basic animation book. Talks about basic shapes and character designs and model sheets. And here it talks about different walk cycles, like a shuffle, and even breaks it down for you. Great piece of tool to have to study. The strut, that's kind of what Cindy had going on, which was, you know, your character had that little strut. There's the double bounce walk where the character bounces up twice in one cycle. It's a cartoon walk. You got a sneak, a run. Another great example to have because it helps you formulate. Because a walk, what we'd have to do, we would videotape and watch people walk. You could do that with what you have going on now, with just watching a film or a flag wave. So another one too is film cartoons. That's by Preston Blair also. And he talks about the wave principle, where they talk if a character is not walking but running, and then he talks about how it moves through arcs. Arcs are important. Once again, those 12 principles, that little piece of animation I did with the flour sack, that's all the 12 principles basically. Now with your walk cycle, that's going to be a little more challenging because you can either have your character animate and walk in place or have them walk across the screen. Walking in place is a little challenging. That's where you have your character stationary, but he's walking as if he's on a treadmill. And the background is what pans back. The background's panning. Anybody have questions about their walk cycle? Because that's what I'm saying. Like, everybody's already hard at work on their projects.
I think Nathaniel wanted to share the flour sack.
All right, Nathaniel, let's see what you got.
I don't know if you can see it.
It's kind of bright.
Yeah, just a little bright.
Can you see it now?
Try angling it. There you go. I could see some of it. Hey,
No, it's too close.
hey, I like that.
No, I think it's good.
Mhm.
Good job. I like it. Very nice. So how did you, so what program did you use, Nathaniel?
Just use paper and pencil.
Was that all paper and pencil?
And I used Autodesk to put all the frames in there.
So what did you use to put it together?
Autodesk. Yeah.
He used Autodesk Sketchbook.
Okay, nice. Good job. Very good. So Angel, I want to tell you there's that program everyone's been using called Flip-a-Clip. If it's they have the free version of it, and it's pretty user friendly. I'm really impressed at how straightforward and intuitive it is. So it's it's something you may want to take a look at as well, just to provide them another tool.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you. Good job. Good job, Nathan.
Looks like
So-
Kat would like to share.
All right, let's see what you got, Kat.
Well,
Hi.
it's really not my best work, and I've actually done better on a walk cycle before, but I
Okay.
don't have that right now, so I'll just share what I made. It's not too good, and I also didn't finish it, so. And then we get the intro. I probably should have opened this app before I shared, but
That was
oh
fun.
well. Yeah, that was not me who made that. That's what happens. They show a project by someone. And there's a bunch of blank frames in between, so it's very flashing. But
No, but you're working on it, and that's good.
yeah.
You're working on it. Good job. Well, thanks for sharing. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So does anyone else have anything to share? No? Okay. So the walk cycle, generally you'll put your keys in. So if you have your character, let's see. So your extremes on this is going to be your highs and your lows. So if you have your character walking, your high point is going to be where he's crossing over. So if you want him and once again, a walk is basically someone that they're falling forward. So your high point is him when he's passing and taking that step. And then your lowest point is when he takes that step down. And a lot of times you'll see certain cartoons that where they're missing is they don't put the head bob. This is where the character is going up and down. And then you basically flip these and then you do your in-betweens. You follow your motion, the arc. Of where your character is going. What also helps when you're doing a walk cycle is that back leg shaded in. Anything on the further end, shaded in. Because in animation, a lot of it works on silhouettes. The clearer a silhouette is, the easier it is for it to be read. So shade in that back arm as it's going back and forward. And when a character's walking, just remember your arms and legs are always going to be opposite. Yeah, it's anyone have questions specifically about the walk cycle since you guys are already working on it? Or a flag wave? Because these are some of the basics. You get the walk cycle is pretty advanced. I'm impressed that you guys are doing it, but I would be doing, like I said, my focus, why I wanted to show you guys was the basic flag wave. So a flag, when you have a flag, it's basically just air from the top. You have air moving around it, and it's just following it through until that wave goes through, and then it comes back again, and it just reverses. So as that air is going across the top of it, so as air is coming across, it's moving. It's like a wave in the water. It's moving past this until the air pushes. As the air's coming again, the flag is going to flip to the other side. So when that air moves, this billowy part of the flag that billowy part of the flag is moving with it as well. So it's going to go from here to here, and eventually it's going to come out the back, and then it'll start all over again. But then from once it gets through the hole area. Then the whole thing will start, but then it'll just flip. So one way the flag's going that way, and the other way the flag's going this way. And like I said, you could get away with it in 3 frames if you want, depending how fast that flag's blowing. If that wind's blowing real fast, then that flag's just gonna like it's stuttering. But if it's a slow flag, then the end of the flag might catch and just whip up, which then you could get into a more complex flag. Where you can have the edge of the flag curl around. So those are the basic principles. But it sounds like you guys are moving straight forward with everything you guys have going on right now. Heather and Rose. Heather, Rose, Liliana, good to see you. What are you guys working on? Did you guys finish your jumping flour sack? Care to share? Very good. I like it. Good job. So are you guys working on a walk cycle as well?
Yeah, or I plan to, but I haven't started it yet.
Okay. No, but it's did you hear me talking about, did you see my flag wave sample?
Yeah.
That's, if you don't want to do a walk cycle, you know, because that's a walk cycle is real complex. It's real challenging. I hats off to everybody that's accepting that challenge. A flag wave is a very good basic principle as well. It's like the bouncing ball. It's kind of simple. It's a lot simpler than a flour sack, but it helps teach you the principles that you will use on a flour sack and on a walk cycle. You do have the basic principles that we did talk about: the squash, stretch, anticipation, staging, straight ahead, follow through, arcs, and all that good stuff. But no, keep it up, keep it up. Like I said, the walk cycle, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. I went and I had a meeting up at Industrial Light and Magic with George Lucas, and before, this was before computers, so we had to shoot pencil and paper, and it was with one of his main supervisors, and we would watch it on the television, but then he would correct or make edits on the screen, versus right now you could do that on your computer, which is, like I said, pretty amazing. Heather, Rose, was that done? What program did you use?
We use Flip-A-Clip.
Flip-A-Clip. Great program. I compared to Procreate, Flip-A-Clip I find is much more intuitive, easier to maneuver, and it has layers. It has layers that you can play with. Jay, you ready to share?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Hold
How's
on.
it going?
Hello, good.
Good.
Let me. Okay, hopefully this will work. Because last time it didn't work.
It's technology, so
Yeah.
it happens.
Okay, cool. Can see it, right?
Ho ho! You crazy person, you. Look at that. Are you guys seeing what this? She's out of control. Out of control. Out of control. That character is just out of control. That's awesome.
Thank you.
That is awesome. Wow. That just blew me away. I am impressed. Good job. Wow, you went to town. What, Jay, what program was that?
That was Procreate.
Procreate. Have you tried Flip a Clip yet?
Yeah, I use both of them. I'm playing
Okay. Oh, you do,
for
yeah.
my next
I,
game.
I started playing with Flip a Clip when I did the flour sack, and I was like, wow, it's easier to move around in than I think Procreate. But Procreate has a lot more variable and brushes. Good job. Did you do a flour sack also, TJ?
Yeah, I can share that in a
That'd
minute.
be awesome. I want to see what your flour sack does. If your walk cycle does that, you're out of control. But that's awesome. A good out of control.
Okay. I was gonna do a jump, but it ended up looking like a high five, so I just stuck with that.
Oh, that's cool. See, you got a little effects, and that's like a little bit of effects animation, which is, it's great because it helps tell the story.
Yep.
So what are you working on now? You working on the walk cycle still, or are you doing anything else?
Yeah, I'm gonna work on a walk cycle, but I'm gonna try it and flip a clip, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I like Flip a Clip. The only thing I'm not a big fan of Flip a Clip is you're limited to style of brushes. But it's in its infancy. It's still, I think it'll develop into something pretty awesome as far as a program. Well, Jay, hats off to you. That was pretty cool stuff. Tater, did you do your flour sack?
No.
No, you had a good start. What happened?
Mainly because I don't like it and I don't want to show it.
Well, all right, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, Laura, Amelia, anybody else? Hi, Amelia. So did you do a flour sack or a walk cycle?
I did a walk cycle. I was working on the floor sack, but then kind of left it behind because I was kind of busy with work and with school and etc.
So in other words, you got bored and you didn't want to do it. Is that it? I'm joking. I'm joking. That's fine. That's fine. So let's see. Can you want to share your your walk cycle?
Sure, it doesn't have the arms. That's kind of a problem, and
That's
it looks
fine. No, that's not a problem. It's a work in progress. Just say it's a work in progress, missing arms.
okay.
Hey.
And
Hey, you did a flag wave too. That's so awesome.
yeah, thank you.
So as I was talking about, let's take a look at Amelia's flag wave. You see how the wind moves through it, and you can change it if by having less frames, it goes faster. And then by having more drawings, it goes slower. So it looks like the wind's slow, then it picks up. Pick it up. Fast, slow. Wow, you have both. Very good.
Thank
Great
you.
example of a flag wave.
Thanks.
Did you just do that recently?
Yes.
That's nice. So, and
Thanks.
that's a basic exercise that all animators learn to do because it helps you with timing. It's the flour sack one too. That helps with timing in motion and to see what you can get away with. How far, when I'm drawing a flour sack or a character. Okay, so my flour sack was down here. Okay, on one piece of paper, I just kind of sketched out what I wanted him to do. Okay, well, I want him to go here. He's gonna go up. He's gonna jump up here. At first, I just had him fly off screen, but then I had all this space to use. So then I said, okay, I'm going to have him come here. Then he's going to go off screen, and then I'm going to have him re-enter center. So when my character is up here and he's about to take off, I have him from this position, I have him pull back. So from here, he goes to that. So this builds anticipation. So from here, he goes to here. And then my next drawing, from here, the motion of the character was going to go this way. So my next drawing, he is stretched as far as he can go. Here. So he goes from here to here in one frame. And what keeps you in the page is his color. So if it wasn't for his color, your eye wouldn't follow that motion. And then he has a cape too. So his cape is blue and his cape being red. From here, he's here. From the next scene from there, he's basically here. So 1, 2, and then the very last scene of that page, of that sequence, you just see his legs. So it goes from 1, 2.5 frames, and it's gone. So timing is important. The walk cycle, if you want it to be a fast walk, shorter steps, less drawings. Let's see, what else can we talk about your walk cycle? Tino and Trinidad, thank you. Do you guys have anything you guys want to share? Have you been with the program since the beginning of the month?
I'd like to share.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
So I have this bowl.
It's not playing. It's not playing. It's not playing.
So what is this we're going to be looking at, Nathan?
Hang on, it's not looping.
Show
It's,
me your
it's not.
walking, right? I can't see.
Hey, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's a Pac-Man walk cycle.
Yeah, I'd like to show you the ball, but. It's
Okay.
I don't have the ball on.
It's right here.
No, but it's not playing.
Jay likes your Pac-Man also.
Okay, now I have the ball.
I don't know if it's going to show. Let me turn lights off.
A little hard to see.
I like your ball. Okay, so what program did you use, Nate?
Out of this.
The Flip-A-Clip?
Out of this.
Okay, so that's a great, so copy that. I would suggest this for you. Copy that one with the ball and add legs to on it, and you could finish animating like a frog hopping. That was very good. That was nice. All right, Laura, I saw your message earlier. No worries. Maybe we could see something next week of your walk cycle. Quinn, how you doing? Do you have anything you want to share with us? How's your animation coming?
So I'm not actually this isn't basically this is my first time here. So I'm like
That's
I'm not
okay.
really sure.
That's awesome. I'm glad you're here. Well, if you have any questions, feel free to ask us. Everybody's here to learn. So we did a bouncing ball. Are you going to be here through the week for the next few weeks?
I'm not actually sure.
Okay. Well, we're doing animation. This is April, and we're doing animation. If you can ask an adult that there's a program called Flip a Clip. I'll write it down for you. And it's a free program, and it's what people are using to do their practice animations. So
Okay.
it'll help you kind of play around, just play around with it and see what you want to do. If you want to try to animate a ball bouncing, sounds simple, but there's different parts to it. Okay.
Darrell, I just wanted to add too, if anyone needs to get caught up on the April Animation Month, I put the link to all the classes that we've had so far.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So follow the link, Quinn, and that'll show you the classes that we did do, so that way you can catch up if you want to. It'll show you some of the basic exercises like the bouncing ball. So does anyone have any specific questions if they're having problems with? Like a walk cycle is hats off to you guys. Brian knows as much as I do. A walk cycle is complex. There's a lot going on. And it depends. If the person walking is it a big person? Is it a skinny person? Is it an old man? If you guys are doing your walk cycles and you feel that you're at a point where you want to experiment, well, then how about trying an old man, and how would he walk with a cane? Lots of different things to try. Jay took it one step further and had him do a cartwheel and bounce off the walls, which was, very ambitious. I remember in class, I'd try to do something ambitious and it would take forever because, you're drawing basically 12 drawings a second,
Here's Boogie.
Yeah, Darrell, I was wondering if you could quickly go over for the students the hands. I know we've been concentrating a lot on the legs, but could you talk to them about the opposite motion of the hands and how they relate to the feet?
Sure. So when your character is walking, everything moves at a different time. So when a character is walking and their arms are moving backward, as their arm moves backward, it's not all going to move at the same time like a robot. It's not going to be, their arm isn't going to be straight like this. their arm is going to be, it's going to move in different places. So as their hand is moving, as their elbow's moving, and their arms are going back, their opposite leg is going forward. So here we go. We talk about arcs. So you want your elbow to follow an arc. So your hand's up, and as it comes down, it goes back. So as your hand's back, so your furthest back position is going to be here. Then your furthest up position is going to be here. Ignore this one. This was a doodle. So, and they just work opposite. Now that's if their hands are closed. If their hands are closed, if their hand is open, then their hand that can be secondary action. That could be your overlapping action. If their hand is forward, is open, as they go backwards, you can have that hand you can have your palm up as he's walking, his hand's going back, but then as he gets to the back part, that's going to follow through and flip up. So that would be a slower action. If you want something more challenging, this would be it. If you wanted to try to keep it simple, I would just say keep your character's hand in a fist. Keep their hand in a fist and make it easy on yourself. That way you can focus on the other parts. But then if you wanted to, you can also add hair to your character. So your character could have that secondary motion with the hair falling behind. Clothes, jewelry, but that gets real complex. But your hands and your feet will always be opposite. Unlike certain animals, like an elephant, its legs move simultaneously generally, right? Both rights move left, and both left move together at the same time. If you take a look at Star Wars, George Lucas studied elephants to walk, the AT-ATs, the giant AT-ATs that walk through the snow. Those are based on elephants. Yes, I'm a Comic-Con nerd. Did that help, John? Brian, excuse me. Did that help explain a little bit of?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Huge. Yeah, thank you very much. Oftentimes with a walk cycle, you concentrate very acutely on the feet, but it's very important when making a walk cycle look believable that you have really good complementary hand motion. So I wanted to make sure that you covered that in the class.
No problem. Thank you for chiming in. But yes, and the thing about Brian nailed it. Chuck's thing was believability. It's like Daffy Duck, the Roadrunner. You know, we won't see a duck or a coyote doing those things, but we believe it can move like that. Like my flour sack animation. You know, it's believable to go, okay, that might happen in a flour sack world. It's believability. It's the magic of animation. You know, it's. Did anyone see Final Fantasy, the animated movie? It's based on the video game. A lot of it was done with mocap, motion capture. And I went to a Directors Guild thing, and they had a talk, and Brad Bird again was in the audience, and they were talking about it, and they said if you're going to motion capture something, they do with a lot of 3D, like Lord of the Rings, Gollum, King Kong, Planet of the Apes. If you're going to motion capture something, you're going to do 3D and just motion capture, then why not just do live action? Because animation helps you push it beyond reality. That's the magic of it. So like when my character was jumping, and at one scene, you don't see it, my flour sack, he is that flat. You don't see it, but he's that flat. And he goes from being this flat, it's kind of like the coyote. He goes from being this flat and he springs back up. But that's where you get to play with the animation. Part of it is, does it feel right? Brian was talking about how the hands help you convey the walk. Does it feel right to you? We all know what a person looks like when they walk. It's a normal thing. You know, we see people walk all the time. We don't think about it. But if you see an animation and the character's walking funny, there's something wrong with it, you can tell, because we know what a walk is supposed to be like. Lots of little nuances, but that's the thing, is what do you want your character to do? Play with your timing. With the computer, you have, oh my gosh, when I was playing with Flip-A-Clip, I was amazed at how easy it was to change a drawing out. You know, oh, I don't like that drawing. I'll just add another frame and I'll draw it. I didn't have to reshoot the whole sequence with one drawing added in. Brian, yeah, if you haven't played with it, Brian, I highly suggest it's pretty flippin' awesome.
I'm going to play with it today.
Yeah,
for sure.
For free. And then there's a buy-in option for $9.99 that gives you other options with additional layers. But it's, I thank the kids. The kids mentioned it. They were using it. And I think Ben and Naylene, and I think the group was using it last year, maybe.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's, I wasn't sure what, because I was looking and finding different programs, and one of them was on both platforms, Mac and PC, but it was clunky, not intuitive. It wasn't fun. The Flip-A-Clip one, you could just straight ahead, just go, just draw through, and like you've used, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but nothing drastic. I think you'll like it.
Great.
Hey everybody,
Hey,
we're wrapping
that I
down. We
wanna
got
be-
about 9-10 minutes left. Anybody have questions before we take off? You guys should have my email address in case you have any specific questions. But like I said, if you could get your hands on a book, oh, you know what? You don't even have to get a book. I was looking online, the Animator Survival book. There's people out there that are referencing Richard Williams' book. So in between him and all the other sources out there with the internet, Google has so much to offer that it can help you with your walk cycle. You can even find animation students who have reference video for walk cycles. They have reference video for bouncing balls. I have a videotape of me back in the day just walking in the backyard just to study the walk cycle. You don't have to do that now because it's everywhere. Yeah, it's amazing how much is more accessible to students with tools and technology. It made traditional animation all that much more accessible because everything's going to computers. Well, 2D animation now can be done on the computer. Friends of mine left and they went to Cal Arts and everyone started doing 3D. And up until recently, the last 3D hand-drawn animated cartoon was The Little Mermaid, but they're bringing that back. 2D's coming back again. But I think a lot of it's done on the computer, not pencil and paper. Okay, everybody. Well, we got about
sorry to interrupt. There was a question from the chat. Do any of the instructors use Adobe Animate?
I don't. Who asked that?
Was Cindy?
Who asked it?
Cindy?
Cindy? Oh, hey, Cindy. Do you use it?
I've just started doing the tutorials.
Okay.
I think about maybe 15 years ago, I had a paying job and I taught myself Macromedia Flash back when it existed.
Wow, Flash.
And then I never used it again for a long, long time.
That was the leading edge of computer animation was
Yeah.
Flash
It
technology.
was a job where there were, the client wanted different types of pumps that pumped water in different ways. And, so it was rotating things pretty easily, little arrows showing where the water flowed. So it wasn't too hard to figure
But
out.
it's the same concept. It's concept. It's the animation of timing and figuring it out. So how do you like the Adobe Animate?
It's just, it has I guess it's like all Adobe products. I started using Illustrator and Photoshop in around 1989 when it came on a floppy disk. And
I
and
was
you can learn
graphic
everything,
editor
and now
when,
it's
when Photoshop had a number in front of it.
yes.
Yeah.
So now everything is just so much more complicated, and there's so much more parts that you have to know, and it's a little bit more intimidating. You really do kind of have to use tutorials. You can mess around yourself and figure out a lot of it, but you always get to the point where you're like, say, what? I have to look this up somewhere because there's got to be a way to do this, but I don't know.
Absolutely. Like I used to work in After Effects to do animatics, and After Effects is a powerful program. A friend of mine was doing it back in the 90s, and he was doing fake lightsaber fights in his backyard with the effects from After Effects. It's a pretty powerful program, and you can animate it in it as well. But I'll take a look at that. I'll take a look at that program. Okay, we got 5 minutes, folks. Anybody else want to share anything? Have questions?
Here's Kat.
Hey, Kat.
I just wanted to share what I had from my walk cycle so far.
Okay.
I've been working on refining it and doing some of the in-between poses. It's still weird and it's in different colors. Also, one thing I've found, and I just forgot to do it before, is that even when using Flip a Clip, which has numbers, I still find it helpful to number mine. Because if I feel like I need to add a frame in between, and I need to add a new one and copy and paste, it's a lot easier to know what order they were originally and then what order I want them to go in.
Yeah, no, numbering definitely helps. It's traditionally, like I said, we would number them 1, 3, 5, 7. Then if we added a number in, it was already set up for that.
Yep. Okay, so here's what I have. It looks really weird because I have my first layer and my more refined layer. But I think it's getting better. So yeah.
No, I could see it. I could see the walk. I could see it. No, it's definitely getting refined. Like I said, walks are challenging. Walks are very challenging. You could even did what Nathan had the Pac-Man, right? You could start out with a bouncing ball. Some people would animate a horse, and they would animate like 2 people walking, and then they would just draw a horse around the legs to get that motion. But it's the same concept of a walk, but you can change it. Like what would happen if a person's feet were bigger, right? Their feet would drag. So when you get to that point where you like your walk cycle, experiment. And the thing is, like, don't worry about, oh, it's not good, or I don't like the way it looks, or it's not. This is where we learn. This is a safe place to learn and not worry about that stuff. When I used to teach drawing in person, we used to use the animation pencils, the traditional animation pencils, and I would take my erasers off. And I would tell people, I said, no, they're not mistakes, they're lessons. I said, don't worry about, we have computers to draw perfect circles. We are here to grow. And that's what this is. This, all these classes you're taking, you're here to grow. And whether or not you animate like Disney, or you animate like Pokemon, or you animate like you, this is your story. This is your artwork. You could do whatever you want. Disney used to draw faces on his flowers, and his teacher said, no, the flowers don't have faces. And Disney would say, mine do. So this is your chance to make it yours. That's what this is all about. Okay, you guys, well, we're going to be wrapping up in a couple minutes. Anybody have something to add?
Here's Tater.
Hey, Tater, you got something to share?
Yeah, I got a quad run. Let me just pull it up. It'll actually load. Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Good job. I like it. I like it. Good motion, good fluid. But take a look at what's been done before. Don't beat yourself to try to reinvent that you got to figure this out by yourself, alone. We have the internet. We have reference. We have people that are doing this. We have other students doing this. It's learn by example. Learn, grab what's available to you. So you, instead of spending hours trying to figure out something that's been established as a rule, like the Book of Life, The Illusion of Life from Frank and Ollie. These are rules lessons you can learn to help prevent you from beating your head against the wall trying to figure it out.
Okay, here's Boogie, and then Nathaniel after Boogie.
Okay.
Yeah, so Darrell, one of the things that was really interesting, I remember this animation when I was learning a walk cycle back when I was a kid, it was a guy actually animated his fingers walking like this.
Huh.
And I thought it was so creative the way he took his hands and actually was able to draw each frame just simply moving along. And then he started running, and then he started hopping. And so it's fun. You can even just play with literally watching your hands. Just watch your hands motion.
Yeah.
Especially if you have something where you have a camera, so that you're, rather than looking at your fingers from your eyes, you're actually looking at it from a third person's perspective of how it looks to them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, lots of different tools you can use. That's a good one. Thanks, Brian. But yeah, everybody, oh, you got something to share, Nathan?
So I'm still animating it, but I'm animating a ball that when he bounces, he starts growing legs.
Hey, that's cool. Did you have anything to show?
Not really.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that. But Nathan, what you could do with that other ball you had would be to add legs into that, and a couple of front legs and back legs. And that, you already got a great setup for a frog. So that's good. I like I like how you took a different approach to the ball than the most basic bouncing ball. All right, folks, looks like we're running out of time here. Before we take off, any last minute questions? Oh yes, also please remember, all these classes are donation based, so whatever you guys can, if you can give, will definitely help us be able to offer these classes. Yeah, if you can, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your donations. Make art, everybody. Keep drawing, keep animating. Just be creative. Let's create. All right, you guys. I guess we'll be taking off. We'll see you next week. Hope to see all this cool projects next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brian,
everyone.
Brian,
Thank you.
take care.
Thank you.
Aloha.
Bye.
Bye.